Hi, welcome back to Orange Blossom Knits. My name's Katie. I'm a Florida-based knitter. I live in Tampa with my dog Scamp, and sometimes the love of his life, my parents' dog. You guys, it is June 13th, and I'm filming my May video. So we'll see if it actually gets up anytime soon, like before the end of June, once I have to do all the editing. I feel really awkward today because I can see that it's very distracting. I'm very distracted today. When I look I'm using my iPhone to film, as always, and when I look in the viewfinder, I can tell that I am looking off center. Like, to me, it looks like I'm looking over there. But when I look at the camera, which is on this side, probably looks more centered, then it's like very distracting to me because I'm looking at nothing. So we're just going to look in the viewfinder, and hopefully that's not too distracting to anybody else. Hopefully it's not as distracting to you guys as it is to me. Welcome to episode 3, I think. It's either 3 or 4. You guys, I'm gonna try really hard to keep the train on the rails today. I've already filmed this video once and it was all over the place, and I basically gave no information about any of my projects. So I did actually write notes. I wrote notes, and we're gonna try and keep the train on the tracks today. Let's just start with finished objects. I finished my moonset tee. Get it flipped around, face the right direction. I finished my moonset tee. I was trying it on earlier, which is because I literally just seamed the neckline this morning. I finished my moonset tee. This is a pattern by Ozetta. I don't know that anybody doesn't know that, but this is a pattern by Ozetta. I'm just straightening it and then I'll flip it back upside right. I knit this in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. I'm in the colorway Strawberry Ice Cream. I actually do really like the color. Also, I'm very shiny today. I think it's because I was just outside with the dogs and it is heckin' hot here today. Anyway, I knit this in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino Strawberry Ice Cream. I cast on for the size 3. I've knit it to pattern. I cast on some extra stitches under the arms because when I got to where you were supposed to join the arms, I was worried that it wouldn't be wide enough. And it is. It is wide enough. It does fit in my chest. The armhole depth is too short. This pattern is supposed to have a lot of, okay, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong. This pattern is great. It's very explained very well. It's written very well. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. The yarn was fine. I picked the wrong size. I probably should have gone up a size. The gauge for this is 26 stitches and 38 rows and 4 inches. And I am not quite bang on, but like pretty close. I think I'm at like 24 stitches and 38 rows. I just picked the wrong size. The pattern is written to have a lot of positive ease, like 10 inches, which I don't really like 10 inches of positive ease. And so I think I picked a size, this is not in my notes, I should have written it down. I think this is a negative or like 0 ease size for me, and I should have given it some ease because it's too small. The armhole depth isn't long enough. The underarm sits really high. Like, it's not so small that I can't get it on, but it sits really high in my underarm. And so I have some like weird puckering here. And then also I picked up the wrong amount of stitches for the sleeve, I think. You can even kind of see it. I don't know how I managed to pick up like more stitches than the armhole allows, but apparently I did, because like this definitely goes up on the top instead of being flat, and so it looks like a ruffled sleeve. It's also too short. If you remember, I was pretty close to binding off the body in the last video, in the May video, and I tried it on and I measured how much longer it needed to be, and then I figured out how many more rows that would be, and that's how many rows I knit. And then I didn't try it on again because I was like, I did math. Math is not my strong suit. It's too short by like a lot. Now it's meant to be a cropped pattern, and that's fine, but between having no ease and being too short, it's just not. Part of me says I'm never gonna wear this. I have enough yarn, so what I have here, this awkward angle, this took 4 balls of yarn. This is what I have left of the original 4 balls of yarn. I have another ball of yarn, so I could pick out the binding. I could pick out the binding. This has already been blocked. I could pick out the binding and knit it longer. That would not be a problem. I don't know if I want to invest the time and energy into that for something that I don't. There are other fit problems. And again, that's on me. I picked the wrong size. I don't gauge swatch, although I did measure my gauge once I got like into the pattern. I did measure my gauge. So I do measure it, I check it. I just don't gauge swatch ahead of time. So I think for right now, this is going to go into like finished object timeout. And then maybe later in the year, if I have time or interest, I will see about fixing it. I don't know that I can fix the armhole depth problem. I could definitely just pull out the sleeve and pick up less stitches, which I think would help with like the amount of ruffliness that they have on my arms. So potentially that's what I'll do. I will add some more length to the bottom, pick up less stitches here. I don't really know what happened. I picked up the number of stitches that it said. I know that I picked up extra stitches. Here's the thing. I know that I knew when I was knitting it that I was picking up extra stitches than what the pattern called for, because I picked up the number that it said to pick up and I was only like 3/4 of the way around. And so I have extra stitches, which is why they're like that. So yeah, I'm sad that I'm disappointed at this. This was my birthday present to myself last year, the yarn and the pattern. This was my birthday present to myself last year. So I'm happy that I finished it. I love this neckline. It actually does sit nice and high on me. Let me pause this and I will, I'll put it on. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I actually really like the neckline. I like the crossover V, and I like the way that it sits. Like I like where it hits on me. It's not too low, but like there's no ease. Like this is the bottom of the underarm, and like that's where my underarm is. So there's no like there's no give under this sleeve. I mean, it's stretchy, but like, and then you can see like the sleeves are too big. I don't know if there's a way, I don't know. If somebody who's a more experienced knitter knows of a way for me to like increase this armhole depth, even if I have to like rip it back, can I just knit longer? Like knit more rows across before I join it, like across the front and back before I join it under the arms? Will that work? I mean, obviously like there was shaping. I don't want to get too much into the details of the construction because this is a paid for pattern, but like, sorry, you can't see it. If I like, you see this like fabric, like this extra fabric, and you can't really see because of the way I'm sitting, but like it fits in my chest, but there's no ease. It's like a zero ease. So I don't know if maybe at some point if I ripped it back, if I like took it out, I would probably cut it, like pick up the stitches and cut it, rather than trying to rip all that back. That seems annoying. So maybe cut it, knit more length, put it back together. I don't know. I've never done that. But like if I just add, chicken dancing. If I just add length before I separate for sleeves, that will deepen the armholes, right? Let me know below if you have any suggestions. Obviously I won't be wearing this anytime soon because it doesn't fit right. And again, that's a me problem. Okay. Did I tell you guys everything I had to tell you about the moonset tee now that we're back in our cooler t-shirt? It is like 95 degrees outside. I talked about the yarn, I talked about the gauge. So since I'm a new knitter, let's talk about the new skills that I needed to do this. So the first one, I just have my note that says seaming. I don't know what that means. Because this wasn't, I guess, oh, the neckline. So yeah, so you had to seam the back of the neckline. I'm actually like pretty proud of how this turned out. I don't know, is it in focus? Yeah, like that's pretty neat. This is the first time I've ever done that. And look how like it's pretty like neat and straight. So like, I'm proud of myself for that. So hopefully I don't like have to frog the whole project. The I-cords, I never knit an I-cord or done an I-cord bind off before, and I did that. Won't focus because you can't, because my face is in the middle of the frame, but I did an I-cord bind off. And I even feel like it's pretty neat, like where I joined them in the round. I had to do it twice. Watch a bunch of videos, but I did it. And even like my bottom I-cord edging looks like pretty nice and neat. And it was rolled in the beginning before I blocked it, but now that it's blocked, it's laying nice and flat. So I'll be sad to pull out that binding, but so yeah, so maybe at some point I'll do some research and figure out how to fix this because I do really like the color. It's a good color for me. And again, I love the neckline. So it has a lot of like fixing that needs to be done. The other thing is that like, I could just knit it again, pick a different size and knit it again because I own the pattern. So, and I have plenty of yarn. But that's my only finished object for May. I was working on it very diligently to try and get it done. Oh, so let's move on to the current works in progress. We'll start with the one that I was working on the last time. Okay, there's only one ball of yarn attached to this. This is what is happening here? I don't know. I'm gonna pull this out anyway because it's fine. I'm gonna pull this out anyway. Okay, ignore that. That was supposed to be the border, but I'm gonna change how I'm doing it. So, okay. You guys. I do really like this. This is the Celtic Myth fingering shawl. The designer is named Ozetta Krebs. I'm gonna assume I'm saying that wrong, but I don't know how to say it otherwise. But this is a shawl I'm working on for my mom. Originally I was gonna try and get it done for Mother's Day. That clearly didn't happen, so now I'll give it to her for her birthday, which is in October, so I have plenty of time to work on this. I am actually done with the body of the shawl. So because I was trying to get this done for Mother's Day, I worked on it kind of a lot and got done with the whole body of the shawl. It is a half circle shawl. I knit it in a fade. So the first color is Woolberry Fibers MCN base which I think is called Berry Cashmere. And this is the fingering weight. This color is Sand Dollar. And look how nice this fade is. You kind of can't see the bottom color. You kind of can. But look how nice it faded. This is 4 colors of yarn. This next one is Explore Knits and Fibers in their cashmere, which is like cashmere sock, which is Cashmere Caverns, I believe is what it's called, in the colorway First Frost. This darker, like blue-green variegated one is a Woolberry fiber called Coastal. And then, again, you kind of can't really see it because I only did like a couple of rows once the fade got done. But this green down here is called Cliff. Here you can see it here. This is the color green is my mom's favorite color. So I'm doing this like cream to green fade. And so then it gets another like 4 inches, like a cabled border that's gonna go the whole way around. And this is my first cabled project. So I had started the cable, so I actually started the cable again, and then you just saw me on camera pull it out. I need to spend some time figuring out, so one of the modifications that I did with this pattern is that this edge in the pattern is a garter stitch border, and I did it as an I-cord because I didn't like the way the garter stitch was looking. It wasn't like the nice neat garter stitch that I'm getting in my half and half wrap. It was like really stretched out and weird, and I just didn't like it, and so I decided to do an I-cord. And there's a garter stitch border that goes along the outside edge of the cabling, which I can also it's a 3-stitch garter border, so I can also do that as an I-cord, but I have to figure out, so the way it works is you like cast on extra stitches and then you knit the rows back and forth and attach them as you go. And there are some setup rows, so I need to do some like trial and error and see if there's like, I can do the setup with an I-cord cast on instead of just like a straight garter or stockinette cast on, so that this I-cord border that's on the outside edge here, focus, continues along what will eventually be the cable, like the cable section. So luckily I have until October to finish this. So I have time. I had started the cable, was misreading the chart. That's the word. I was misreading the chart. So I pulled it out, did some practice to figure out like how I was misreading the chart. I learned to read the chart like in one direction, just like you read a book, but it actually like snakes, so it goes back and forth. Once I figured that out, it made a lot more sense. So yeah, so I have some time to finish this, but I will be actively working on it. Just because I have till October doesn't mean it needs to take till October, but I have a lot of other like deadline knits that are before my mom's birthday, so that is that. I am really liking that project though, it's really pretty. And I, for whatever reason, have doubles of all of the yarn except the first frost, but like I didn't even use a whole skein of any of them. So I might make another one. Once I make the one for my mom, I might make one either for me or for one of my aunts. We'll see. It's a fun knit, and like the actual like body was like pretty easy. Even doing it as a fade, it was pretty easy. Because I did it as a fade, there were some points where I had to like do the increases. So there's like increase, purl back, increase, purl back, increase, purl back. But because I was doing it as a fade back and forth, there were times where I was like having to increase on the purl row. So I had to learn to do like the make one right and make one left purl wise. That was a new skill for me because I've only ever done them like in the round, so knit wise. So that was a new skill. So I guess like that's technically a modification because the pattern's meant to be all in one color. Okay, my next work in project is the top that I'm making to wear to Flock Fiber Fest. My friend Erica and I are knitting the same pattern in different yarn, and this is the Underlace top by Lily Kate France. It's a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to go too much into the details, but it is like a striped tank top, and then it gets some like applied lace around the neckline and like over the shoulders. And I am knitting this to pattern. I am bang on gauge for this. Yay me. The only modification, which is really just probably that I made a mistake somewhere and couldn't figure it out, is that I had the wrong, so this is the back. And when I went to join the underarms, which is down here, I had the wrong, you can like see where the increases stop, and then I just have this section that's like straight. I had the wrong number of rows. I only had half of a stripe repeat. And it looked like in the pattern you were supposed to just like join and go knit in the round. But I had the wrong number of rows, so I had to go back and like add more, which is fine because as I said in the last pattern, the underarm on the last shirt was too high, so hopefully that will help. These underarms are now nice and deep. Hopefully they're not too deep, because even though this is a tank top, it is knit in wool, so you know, it's 95 degrees here today. It won't be 95 degrees in Seattle, probably. I've been to Seattle twice, and one time, like around the same time of year, one time was like around Father's Day, and one time was like around 4th of July, so like not that far apart. And one time it was like a gazillion degrees, and one time it was freezing cold and raining. So I think their weather is somewhat mercurial. So hopefully it won't be a gazillion degrees, and I will be able to be comfortable in this. I don't know what I'm gonna wear with it yet. I can always like put my denim jacket on over top of it. I think would be really cute. Anyway, I am knitting this in the Madeline Tosh, I think this is Twist Light, which is like a wool nylon blend. This is the color Paper. This is not the color that I expected it to be based on their website. Come focus, please. I mean, I'm looking for like the perfect like neutral cream, and this is a little too like tan, I think, for me. It's reading pretty close on camera to how it is in real life, and I expected it to be more cream, but it's not quite the right color for me. I mean, it's fine because the blue is the color that's going to be like the most near my face. But this is the Madeline Tosh Twist Light in Paper. This is the Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock, which is their like merino cashmere base. I think it's the only sock that they have, the only sock like blend. And this is the colorway Empty Night. You will remember that I bought this as a possible yarn to pair with the Skellig for the whip that wasn't when I was working on my cargo sweater. When the Surrey didn't work out, that's a different story. I talk about that extensively in my first video, so if you want to hear why I haven't started my Cargill sweater yet, you can go watch it. But yeah, Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock. I only have one skein of this. Now this pattern is also supposed to be like pretty cropped, but as we know, your girl does not like things that are cropped. I don't wear a lot of stuff that's high-waisted, so crops don't like work for me. So hopefully, I think what I might end up doing actually is, there's some like finishings that you do in the contrast color. So I may, I was like, oh, when I finish the stripe, but I'm actually on a white stripe. So I may cut this yarn, do the finishings that I need to do in the blue yarn. That way I can just use whatever is left for the stripes, and I can just like knit it. And then if I, you know, hopefully my last row will be this color. Then, you know, and we can knit it hopefully and get it long enough. I think the pattern calls for you to knit to, I don't want to say it because it's a paid for pattern. It calls to knit to like a specific like length, and it depends on how low the armhole sits on me, if that's going to be long enough. Because I'm tall, I'm 5'9", and I am short-waisted. Like my natural waist is pretty high, but I am long. There's a lot of distance between my waist and my hips. I'm saying a lot today. I don't know why. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just back here taking a brain break. I'm letting my brain catch up to my mouth, and you guys can look at this for a minute. Okay, so I may do that, do the finishings, and then I can knit to however long I need, because the lace, like appliques, will be in the white, and I have another whole skein of this, so that might be what we're doing. Okay, and that's all my whips. I'm still, well, not all of them, I'm still working on my half and half wrap, but it's at the point where it just looks the same. I haven't changed colors or anything yet, so it just looks the same. Even though I have worked on it a little bit. I took it, I went to St. Louis for my nephew's birthday. Hi, puppy. She's not feeling well today. So she's not usually a snuggler, this one, but she's not feeling well today. Hi. Hello. Hi, sweet girl. If I talk to her long enough, Scamp will come running over. Hi. Hi. Sweet girl. This is Lexi. She's a long-term visitor. Aren't you? Aren't you? You've been here about 3 weeks and you'll be here about 2 more. So yeah, so I'm also working on my half and half wrap. Oh, that's where I got distracted. I went to St. Louis for my nephew's 4th birthday and I took my half and half with me as my airplane knitting because it's easy to knit on while you're traveling. So technically I have 3 whips. That's a lot for somebody who says they're a monogamous knitter. Flock Fiber Fest. First weekend in August. So this has to be finished by then. It will definitely be finished by then. I am hopefully I will have it finished by the end of June. And you will see it in my July video. Okie dokie. Let's talk about acquisitions. Actually, I'm going to leave this top out because it is on needles that are a new acquisition. Because I am dumb, and didn't look in my needle case before I went on vacation. So I went on vacation with some friends. We went to Hilton Head, South Carolina. We had a really good time, but it was rainy and cold the whole time we were there, which is fine. I live in Florida. I can go to the beach anytime I want. But we went to 2 knitting stores, and at the first one, which was called Needlepoint Junction, and I do have a tiny bit of footage, maybe like 60 to 90 seconds of footage of the shop. That one is actually in Hilton Head, and they were very nice there. It is primarily a needlepoint store, but it was really fun. They had a lot of like needlepoint samples and not just like flat, like framed needlepoint. They had like needlepoint samples made into stuff, so you could kind of see like all of the fun like things you could do with needlepoint. I'm not getting into needlepoint, but it was an interesting store. But they had a pretty decent selection of yarn. Their primary stock was commercial yarn. They had a lot of, I always want to call it Jupiter Moon, but I'm pretty sure it's a Juniper Moon. They had a lot of Juniper Moon and a lot of a brand called Jody Lang. I didn't buy any yarn. I've been trying really hard not to buy yarn before I go to 2 fiber festivals later in the year. Not that you'll be able to tell that I haven't been buying yarn by the amount of acquisitions I have. But I cast this on. So for Flock Fiber Festival, they are doing a knit along called the Summer Flock Along, I think. And the cast on date was while I was on vacation. And so I was packing kind of in a hurry, and I just threw my whole needle case into my bag of things to do with, you know, my knitting and my books and my, you know, all my non-clothes stuff that you take on vacation. But I didn't look at the needle case. And when I went to cast this on, I realized that I didn't have the right size needles because this is on 3.75s, and apparently all my needles are on projects. Even though I only have 3 projects, I didn't have a 3.75. I had a 3 and I had a 4.5. So those were the closest sizes to 3.75. So I bought needles and a cable, even though I didn't need a cable. I had cables. I just didn't have needles. I use the Lykke Lykke needles. I have the blue driftwood ones, but these are the pink ones, and they are really fun. And actually, I am really liking them because I like the pink color because I knit a lot of blue, and so sometimes the stitches are hard to see on the blue needles, but like this blue yarn, I'm just wrap it a couple of times, shows up really good on the pink needles, so it was a good purchase. The only thing I don't like, I actually really like these needles. I like the wooden needles. I have some ChowGoo like mixed interchangeables. I didn't get a whole set. I just sort of buy them as I need them. And I have some ChowGoo like fixed circulars. But I actually like the wooden needles. They're like sticky enough that my stitches don't go flying. The only thing I don't like about these is the cables. But I was watching a video today. Somebody's knitting vlog. I believe her name was Stitches Be Slippin'. Slippin' Be Stitches? I'll link it below. But she said that the Lantern Moon swivel cables fit the Luca needles. So I literally just learned that this morning, so I have not tried it yet, but if I try it, I'll let you guys know. So that was one tool acquisition, a set of needles and a set of cables, and I got them at the store at Needlepoint Junction in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Okay, project back in the bag. The other knitting store we went to, which I do not have footage of because we went on the last day of our vacation, and something you guys don't know about me is that it's not a vacation for me if I don't get sick while I'm there or while we're traveling back. So by the last day of our vacation, I had a roaring sinus infection, and so I felt pretty miserable. But this was a really cute yarn store. So I didn't take any footage because, like, honestly, my brain was fried. When you have a sinus infection, it's like different than being like chest cold sick. It's like your brain is fried. At least that's how mine is. Between the pain and the pressure and the sinus medicine, I was pretty miserable. But the other store we went to was called Low Country Shrimp and Knits, and it is in Bluffton, South Carolina, which is just over the bridge from Hilton Head. Hilton Head's an island. Bluffton is the city on the other side of the bridge. Look how cute their logo is. It's like a little knitting octopus. He's so cute. Octopuses, which that is the appropriate plural of octopuses. Octopuses. They're my favorite sea creature. So I'm like, even though I don't need this paper bag, I'm keeping it because I love this sticker. I might try and peel it off. It's paper, so I don't know if it'll come off. They were super nice there. The store was pretty small. Not the smallest yarn store I've ever been in, which is still Ginger Twist Studios in Edinburgh. But it was pretty close to being the smallest that I've been to. But we went in and there was this like whole group of ladies just sitting and knitting, and they were like, yes, come in, squish all the yarn. And then the owner was talking to us about like the projects that we were working on, and I was talking to her about the Celtic Myth shawl and about it was my first cable project, but I was really having trouble like following the chart and having, I was just talking basically what I told you guys, and she's like, girl, I have two things that are going to change your cable knitting life. The first thing is this highlighter tape. So it's like highlighter, it's like repositionable, I believe, like see-through highlighter tape. And basically what she told me is that she puts it on the row below, like basically the row she just finished. So it's on the row below the row she's actually knitting in the chart, and then once she finishes the row, she moves it up, which I thought would be pretty helpful. Actually, I've been trying to keep track of it just like by making hash marks on my iPad, but then I have to like stop, and it seems like a more like tactile way to like make me pay attention. And the other thing that she said, because I was like, yeah, it's my first time cabling and I don't really have cable needles because I've been holding out to get the Lantern Moon ones, but nobody will buy them for me like for my birthday or Christmas, so apparently I'm just gonna have to buy them for myself. But I've just been using a leftover, like an interchangeable needle that I'm not using for another project, and she was like, you have to try this spiral cable needle, because basically what she was saying is you slip your cable stitches onto it and then you can just let it fall and it'll either hang forward or hang back, but it like it's weighty. It probably weighs about as much as a quarter, but it's like weighty enough that it's gonna kind of tug your stitches, not like tug, but like pull your stitches down like out of your way, and then you can just slip them back onto your left hand needle. I knit with my right hand, so onto my left hand needle you can just slip them back to knit them. So I haven't done any work on the cable since I went, but like I want to say this was only $1, unless I'm reading that wrong. I'm pretty sure that says $1. So they were very nice there. So I recommend both stores. We did get to squish all of the yarn. They had a lot of laying yarn there. At Low Country Shrimp and Knits, they had a small hand-dyed section. Needlepoint Junction also had a hand-dyed. They were having like a copper corgi trunk show. It's just that the colorway for Hilton Head was not something that I personally thought it would wear. It was very pretty. It was like browns and blues and very like beachy, but it just wasn't a colorway that I would probably wear. So I didn't buy, and again, I've been trying real hard not to buy yarn. They did have a pretty decent stash of Shibui Silk Cloud. And my friend that I was traveling with, one of my friends, did buy some of that because she wanted to try it, and obviously can't really get it anymore. And I think she got a pretty good deal on it. I was like, some of it was like 60% off. So yeah, but all I bought was tools. And I will toss the very short clip of Needlepoint Junction at the end of the video. Okay, let's do the rest of the acquisitions. It's all yarn, you guys. There's a lot of yarn here. I gotta get talking because I have to go have a hair appointment, I have a hair appointment this evening. So I gotta get talking so I can get this video done. Okay, so first things first. First thing we usually share, Fangirl Fibers, Disney Attractions, Yarn of the Month Club. This one came first. I'm pretty sure this was the April one. Might have been the May one. No, I think this was the May one. This was the May one, and then the other one's the June one because it's late in the month, and so I already have it. This is the colorway Matterhorn. It's like a cream, and then it has some, I'm trying to find a good example of the speckles. It has like blue and brown and orange speckles. It's really pretty. And I think this might be the kind of speckles that I really like on cream yarn. These sort of like very delicate speckles. They're like, I mean, obviously they're like bunched together right here. But like they're pretty like delicate. So I think I might like that. We'll see once I get it knit up. And then the June colorway was Pirates of the Caribbean, which is this really pretty like tonal variegated. I'm gonna call it a tonal variegated because like from far away it mostly looks like it's one color, but like when you get it close to the camera you can see that there are multiple colors in there. There's just like lighter like pinkish red, and then like a darker burgundy, and this like kind of orangey brown. This very much gives me vibes. There's a character in there. I'm sure she has a name. It used to be, we want the redhead, give us the redhead. That was the auction scene. But she's still there. Now she's a pirate. I don't know what they say anymore because I don't pay attention. But this reminds me a lot of like her, between like her red dress and her red hair. That's a kind of vibe. And I actually think these look really pretty together, but I don't know what I'm gonna make out of them yet. Part of me at this point is like, I should just hang on to all of these Disney yarns until I get all 12 months and then see if I can't make something that's like some kind of fade out of them. I think I probably could. So I know every month I'm like, oh, I can make this out of this single skein, or I can make that out of this single skein. But like, part of me is like, I should just hang on to all of them. And then in December, once I have them all, I should look and see like if I can't make like a couple of fades out of them and like get a bigger project out of them, since I'm getting 12 skeins of yarn. So that was my Fangirl Fibers yarn. Let's get the labels out. Maybe this will be the thumbnail. Okay, what is up next? So the rest of the yarn is from two dyers. It came in separate packages, obviously, but I shoved it all in the same box, so it may end up coming out to you all mixed together. But let's see what we start with. Let's start with this because it's on the top and I can see all the colors together. Okay, so I bought this yarn back in January. I think I bought all of the rest of this yarn like about the same time back in January. I know I bought this in January because it was Lunar New Year. I was out with a friend and her family to celebrate Lunar New Year when I bought this yarn. So I know that I bought it in January because that's when Lunar New Year was this year. This is from the Long Dog Yarn, say that 5 times fast, Lord of the Ring 1 collection. So these are the colorways that are named after all of the hobbits. So this one is Frodo. This yellow one is Samwise. This like turquoisey one, this one is Mary, I believe. Nope, Pippin. And the green one is Pippin. So Mary This is the yarn that I'm also going to Rhinebeck. I said I was going to 2 yarn festivals. I'm going to Flock in Seattle in August, and I'm going to Rhinebeck. I'm so excited about going to Rhinebeck, you guys. And the friends that I'm going with, who our text group is called the Sweater Support Group, we're all gonna knit cozy classic raglans in color block. So on Instagram, Allie from EKF and Jackie from Mullen Oaks, maybe Kate from Red Door Fibers, they all knit the cozy classic raglan like in matching. There's actually match, like the color blocking is all the same, and they call it the BFF sweater. And so we're knitting BFF sweaters, but ours aren't gonna match. We're all using a kind of mustardy yellow color, but that's really it. Otherwise we all picked our own colors, but it's the same pattern in the same colors. I really like this yellow color, but like it is not like a good color next to my skin, so it's definitely going to be on the bottom. I think the order that it's going to go in is like this, from top to bottom, possibly like this. But we'll see. I have one more project that I want to start and finish before I start this, because I don't have to have it until the endish part of October. So cozy classic raglan color block BFF sweater. This is fingering weight yarn. This is the this is the Long Dog sock base, which is an 80/20 merino nylon. I don't know if I'm gonna knit the cozy classic light or the hold them double and knit the DK version. Decisions TBD. Part of me wants to do the light version because I think I'll get more wear out of it. But I think everybody else is doing the DK version. Not that I think you'll be able to tell that much of difference once they're on. Okay, set those there. What's next? Okay, next up, Explore Knits and Fibers. I'm so excited about this yarn. So freaking excited. Get them all flipped around. Okay, they're all the same. I don't need to hold them all up. So she did her National Parks release back, again, I think it was in January. Look how cute her label is. This is the redesigned label. Look at the little fox in the mountains. This is the colorway Joshua Tree National Park. I got this in her Cashmere Caverns base, which is the MCN base. It's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. I love this yarn. It's so pretty. It's like, I've never been to Joshua Tree, but the inspiration photo and that she used and this are like, it's really clear like how this colorway got its name. But like, look at all the different colors. There's this like kind of pinky brown, there's some green, there's some like pink, there's some like blues, there's some more like purpley blues. I love this a lot. This is absolutely stunning. I am going to knit a Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits with this. Now, that sweater is a lace sock weight and a lace weight held together to get like a DK gauge. So I don't know what color, like I don't know what color mohair I want to use with this. Part of me says like maybe like a really pale pink or a cream. I guess it just depends on what color you want to pull out of it. I think a cream would mute the speckles more, make them more pastel, but like a pink would also be really pretty. And do you guys know how I feel about pink? I don't love pink quite as much as Aro from Aro Knits and Pearls, but I do love pink a lot. Although I think my love of pink is influenced by her love of pink. But I love this colorway. I really like the dark green speckles, but I don't know that I would do like a whole dark green mohair because I think it would make it too, like make the other colors too muddy. So I'm thinking either pink or cream or possibly like a purpley blue. If you have opinions, let me know. Okay, what's next? Okay, I don't have a plan for this yarn. I did buy a whole sweater quantity. So I mentioned earlier the Cargill sweater and the whip that wasn't, and so I needed a base yarn to hold with the EKF, sorry, alpaca that I got in Giant's Causeway that I am no longer using for my Cargill sweater. And so I got this one, which is this really pretty like gray white. It is called, you guys, I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. I was mostly just in love with the colors, not so much in love with Lord of the Rings. So I'm probably gonna say this wrong. This is the colorway, the Light of Earendil, E-A-R-E-N-D-I-L. In my head, it's Arendelle, like Frozen, but my friend has told me that that isn't correct. Also, look at this, how fun this label is. She redid her label for this collection. So yes, I'm going to hold this with the Giant's Causeway Surrey. Let me go get it. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I went over to the yarn closet. So this is the Giant's Causeway Surrey. It's like really pretty, like blues and grays, kind of like moody. And I'm gonna hold it with this. I don't know what I'm gonna make out of it yet. The current top contenders for this are the Ozetta Field Day cardigan and the Andrea Maui, the Traveler like hoodie. I have 5 skeins of this, which is 2,000 yards. And I think I have 5 skeins of this. I didn't count. There's 2 wound up. I'm pretty sure I have 5 because I think I needed 1,700. I might only have 4 because this has more yardage than a typical sock yarn. So I'm only have 4 of these. But I think for the Cargill, I needed like around 1,700 for my size. So that's probably like around what I have. So yeah, Field Day cardigan, possibly the Field Day cardigan, possibly the Traveler hoodie. Or another pattern, if someone has a suggestion. I'm looking for patterns that are not like super textured. So the problem with this and for the Cargill, which is like a super pretty like dip stitch textured pattern, if you have been living under a knitting rock and haven't seen it, was that this is way fluffier than a mohair. Like, I don't know if it's gonna focus. Like, it's way fluffier than a mohair. And so you couldn't see the texture of the sweater. It just looked like fluffy. So I'm looking at stuff that's not like crazy textured. The Traveler like hoodie does have some like, it's like a texture. It almost looks ribbed, but it's like not like up and down ribbed. Like maybe, I didn't buy the pattern. It looks like maybe it's like Knit-A-Row Pearl. No, because that would just give you garter stitch. I don't know. It looks like it's like horizontally ribbed, but I don't know. But I think that would be okay. But anything that's like a cable or a seed stitch or anything like that, that's like a texture, I don't think would show up with this. So I'm looking for something that's like kind of basic, I guess, to knit. If you have suggestions, let me know. Part of me also says like I could just knit like a basic raglan. Like I've never knit like a petite knit, like no frills or any, you know, any of those other like basic raglans. So part of me says I could just knit that. But if you have suggestions as to what I can make, let me know. Okay. More of the white. All right, back to Explore Knits and Fibers. I have many skeins of this also. I'm not gonna hold them all up. This is the Explorer Knits and Fibers, also from her National Park sale. This is Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I'm so glad I got this, and I wish that I had gotten more because I love it. Now, Great Smoky Mountains National Park holds a special place in my heart. One of my best friends and I went on a trip there, not during COVID, but like sort of towards the end of COVID. We went on a trip to Asheville, and one of the days we just drove along the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is in the Smoky Mountains, and listened to Taylor Swift, and we had a picnic, and we stopped at all the overlooks, and it was just like one of those like relaxed travel days where you don't actually do anything, but it's like amazing memory. So I love this colorway. It's like blue and purple and green. It's amazing. The Smoky Mountains are beautiful, and they get their name because like when you are like kind of standing away from them, they do look like they're like covered in smoke. It's like kind of hazy, and so you can see like this like bluish gray smoke, and then the mountains are green underneath because of all the foliage. So I love this colorway. We are going to knit, the friend that I went on the trip with and I are going to knit Lento sweaters out of this. Supposedly, according to the pattern, I only need 2 skeins, but it's a crop sweater and your girl doesn't like crops, so I have an extra skein just in case. The reason I said I wish I got more is apparently they changed the dye recipe for this after this release, and so it's more gray now and less blue, but I really like the blue. So I'm really glad that I got this, and I wish I had gotten more, but I'm super excited. It's going to be, we're going to do it as a knit together next year in 2024. We have lots on our plates for this year. Okay, what else? Okay, I got all the minis. I got the mini set from the Long Dog Yarn collection. For the Lord of the Rings collection, I got the tonal mini set. Focus, please. So some of these colors you've seen already. This one was the Light of Arendelle. Hobbit, Mary, I think. Frodo, Sam. Have we seen any of the rest of these? I have other colors, but you haven't seen them yet. So this one is Boromir. Some of these people I know who they are and some of them I don't. I think Boromir is a person. This one's Gimli, who is a dwarf. This definitely looks like the actor's beard in the movie. I have seen the movie, but it was a long time ago. This one is Legolas. I have this in full skeins. Talk about it in a minute. This one is Gandalf, who obviously is like the wizard. These colors are very similar to each other. It took me a minute to figure out which one was which. I mean, obviously you can tell like one is green and one is gray, but it's a little dark in here. And so like away from the camera, like kind of in shadow, it's like, which one's which? But like now that they're together, I can tell. This one's Legolas. This one's Gandalf. Oh wait, we talked about that one already. It just fell back in the pile. This one is Speak, Friend, and Enter, which I think is a quote from the book, movie. I have a sweater, I have more of this too. And this one is Aragorn, who everybody knows who Aragorn is because you either were in love with Orlando Bloom or you were in love with Viggo Mortensen. I was an Orlando Bloom girl, mostly because pirates, but Legolas isn't anything to shake a stick at. Okay, so I have sweater quantities of both Speak, Friend, and Enter, which is this gorgeous blue. Anybody who's been here for a minute knows I love a navy yarn. If somebody puts a navy yarn in their release, I will probably buy it. I love navy the way that other people love other colors. This is like my 5th or 6th one at this point. I am going to use this to make the Andrea Mowry birch sweater, which is like I don't know if it's a brioche or like a half fisherman's rib, but it's like, looks really squishy and cozy. So that's what I'm gonna make out of this. I didn't have a plan for this one. I did not plan to buy this because I was like, you already have 4 kinds of navy yarn. You don't need more. But then like the more I looked at it, the more I wanted it. And so I did not have a plan for this yarn when I bought it, but I have a plan for it now. I really try. You will notice that most of this yarn has a project assigned to it. And most of it, I picked the project before I bought the yarn. This was an exception because I needed it specifically to pair with another yarn that I don't know what I'm gonna make with it yet. But since I have been thinking about it, I have come up with some options. So we'll see how I feel when I eventually get around to knitting it. But I do try and have a project in mind when I'm buying yarn. So I have like a running list in my phone of like projects and how much yarn I need for them. So this is gonna be a birch sweater. And then last but not least, in acquisitions, I have a sweater quantity of the Legolas colorway, which is really pretty sagey green color. And all of the rest of these have been sock yarn, just an 80-20 sock. But this is a DK, so this is 100% superwash merino. I am going to knit a pattern called the Searchlight Raglan. I feel like I will try and put pictures. I usually put pictures in of all of the patterns, so I will endeavor to continue to do that. You guys like that? Is it helpful to you to like envision, or are you okay with just like links to Ravelry pages? I kind of like having the pictures. So I probably will keep doing it, but it's a DK weight pattern. So I bought DK weight yarn. This is like so squishy. This is a lot softer than the sock yarn. So I'm knitting a project called the Searchlight Raglan. It's by a designer called Claire. I'm probably gonna butcher this, Borchardt. It'll be on the screen when I put the picture up. But it's a really pretty raglan, but the raglan is a cable. And then so the cable runs like down the raglan, and then it like joins the two cables and just runs down the side. It's really pretty. So that's what this is gonna be. And that is the end of my acquisitions. That was a lot. I feel like that was a lot of yarn. For someone who's really endeavoring to not buy yarn. To be fair, I bought it all within 2 weeks of each other back in January. I have been really good about not buying too much yarn in the lead up to these yarn festivals. Maybe over the summer, I'm trying to conceptualize how I want to go about budgeting for the yarn festivals. I'm thinking a dollar amount will feel too restrictive. So I'm thinking it might be like a number of skeins amount. That might be like a way to go about it, so I don't bring back 900 skeins of yarn. If you've been to a yarn festival like that, how have you budgeted about it? Like, how have you decided like how much you're like willing and able to buy? Because I'm still trying to think through that, and I have a little bit of time to decide, but not much. So yeah, if you have ideas, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, have a good day. I will endeavor to get this edited in the next couple of days, and hopefully it will be up by the weekend so that I can say that the May video was up by the midpoint of June. That seems to be the running schedule around here, is that the video from the month before will be up sometime in the middle of the following month. I really admire people who are like, have their May video up on the last day of May, but y'all have met me at this point. That's just not how I live my life. Like, it's just not. So I am like the very epitome of that Instagram reel that's like, if I told you I was going to do something with you or for you and I didn't say the words, I'm putting that in my calendar, I will immediately forget. So I don't think anybody's surprised that like my May video won't go till mid-June. But yeah, have a good afternoon. Have a good June. Have a good Father's Day for those of you that celebrate. For those of you that don't or can't, do something kind for yourself this weekend, and be kind to each other. Happy knitting.